Welcome to my Supernatural Diaries. This is Redeeming Thunder, and my name is Erica. And I'm here to give you an important prophetic word. So many of you have been in your feminine era, okay? And you may be wondering, what type of individual, what type of man have you been attracting? And this doesn't just go from now into going into the future. I'm talking about what level of quality of man have you been attracting, as in your past, and who is coming for you, who still wants you, okay? Who still desires you, and who is still in love with you. That's in your past and coming into your present. First of all, I want to say that the reason why you have been called to this channel is because you are someone of grand importance to the Most High, Yahuwah. But besides that, your womb is of grand importance to the Most High. Okay? It's not just important to Him, the creator of the universe. It's of grand importance to kings in this world. And so what's coming to play here is you are awakening through visions and dreams. So you are reliving what you've already lived. Okay? And you've lived it in the pre-Adamic time frame. And when I'm saying pre-Adamic, it means when you were in your spirit man form. Okay? So when you have then lived things in this dimensions of time, and even in your past, you are just basically replaying it now on earth in physical form, what you've already lived. And so you're maybe wondering, what quality of man did I date, or did I have children with, or did I marry? Okay? Why? You want to know why they still desire you. Why it's hard for them to let you go. First of all, it could be soul ties that are still attached. Okay? Second of all, the individuals that you had been attracted to, or they attracted to you, were not just regular civilians. You know, they weren't just basic people. And I'm not trying to be rude by others that they don't have a calling, or they don't have status. Okay? They don't have weight or authority. But you were with individuals of grand authority. Okay? You were with either King Nebuchadnezzar's in this land, who is also known as King Ashur, who is known as a deity. And you're like, what are you saying here? Why'd you say deity? So was I with a deity? And that's what I want to tell you. Yes. You have been with individuals that were like hybrids of a deity and or of half human, half deity. Okay? And who had grand power in this land. And they need you. They want you back. Somehow in your lifetime, you guys broke up. And those individuals want you back. Okay? So, in other words, you have attracted kings in this land. And the Most High, okay, your high frequency, feminine high frequency, okay, attracted high frequency. And so either you attracted other kings such as King Amalek in this lifetime, okay? You are now soon to be, if not already, you should be already, because if you're following the prophetic word, you should have already, okay? That's why you want to stay tuned, like and subscribe, ring the bell, and send to those who need to hear this. There's a King David that you also basically summoned into your life. And he summoned you. And you guys are connecting in the dimensions of time. And what's so fascinating is he's going to be so intuitive, he's going to know. He's going to know, and he's waiting for you to figure it out. Okay? Because like in the times of Adam and Eve, okay? Story. Remember when she was placed in his garden? So he's going to, the Most High, Yahuwah, is going to place you in his garden. That means in his line of work, wherever he is at. Just like when Ruth gets placed right in Boaz's field. All right, so she could have worked anywhere else. And her path began, and she was inclined to begin working at that particular field. That's not a coincidence. It's destiny. It's destined for you to connect. Okay? So you have been obeying the Most High with your declarations and proclamations, right? And you have been manifesting with heavenly backup. Okay? Telling you to do so. And have attracted a King David in your life. And all of these kings are so into you. Okay? You're looking like a snack. And I'm saying that because of the dream. Prophetic dream that I received. Okay? So you are this high status, high quality woman. And maybe you didn't know that. And so this was the journey of you watching these series of videos of the prophetic word to explain to you how much of royalty that you are. Okay? Because a lot of you didn't know that you were a queen or a princess in this land. And you're just coming to find out. All right? And so the prophetic word is you are in your queen, baddie, feminine era. Okay? The Most High wanted you to enter into your soft feminine, queen, soft feminine era, and also your queen, baddie, feminine era. And it took a minute for you to realize who you are. Meanwhile, all of these other kings in the land already saw it from a mile away. That you were queen status, princess status. They can all see it. You're giving off this aura about you, even from years ago, okay? In the past. That you're this, high frequency, high standard, and you attract kings. You're not attracting a common fellow, of a low caste level. You're not attracting. You're attracting men with high status and wealth and authority and power. Okay? And the reason why I'm bringing this up now, as this is chapter 66, part 2, given to me on 1/2/2026, is because these prophetic words are manifesting into reality 3 months later of when I received it. So now we're in April. I'm recording it in April, and it's manifesting in April. So this is a dream of an Arabian prince, okay, coming after you, but also another king, and his name is King Assur, coming for you, looking for you. Okay? And this is not the first time I've had this dream regarding this individual. It's been like 2 other dreams during the Ordained Spouse series where he finds you and he instantly wants to marry you. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to tell you here. There are going to be several that are coming for you and they want to marry you, or they want to stay with you if you're with a counterfeit or a prodigal spouse that doesn't return. But there's a warning here, because you need to be alert. If you watch chapter 66 part 1, you're going to understand that it's a situation of a scenario like Phantom of the Opera, where she's, attracted to the individual. But just because you're physically attracted to the individual doesn't mean that he's for you. Okay? And just because they have a lot of status and they have authority and power, it doesn't mean that that's the right king for you. And how he had her trapped in that dungeon, kind of like the story of Rapunzel, where now some kind man was there to rescue her, and that is your King David. Okay? Meanwhile, did you notice that Rapunzel was busy with her artistic, creative, being in her, and maintaining in her feminine, soft era. And, everything she touched, she made it very beautiful. Okay? So the Most High wants you to keep with your creativity and also your praise and worship. Alright, so let me jump right into the dream. May Yahuwah open your eyes and your ears to hear, because you're entering a new dimension of time. And although it may be alluring you, it's also, what's very alluring is your ordained spouse. Okay? And he's going to love you correctly. He's going to care for you. He's going to take care of your soul. He's going to make you whole. His love is healing. He is anointed to love you unconditionally. And he is also very handsome. And he does have... Do you recall the stories of David? He was a great king. He was a mighty king. He was a warrior. He was the one that took down Goliath. Okay? And although it may explain that he was a little bit shorter of stature and or maybe smaller individual in the Bible, it doesn't mean that your ordained spouse is going to be small and or short or anything. Okay? He's going to come with mighty strength, and he's going to look very masculine. Not only look, but he's going to be very masculine. And very sweet. Sweeter than honey. Okay? There was a prophetic word that someone said. It was a pastor that said that you were going to get married to someone that is más dulce que miel, which means sweeter than honey. You're like, how is that possible? Honey is already massively sweet. It is possible. Okay? Because it comes with intuition. This person is going to be so into you, he's going to read the unspoken words. He's going to dissect the word choices that you use. Why? Because he really cares and wants to meet you where you're at. He's going to read your body language. He's going to know that when you're not okay, when you say and you lie and you say you're okay. He doesn't want you to pretend. He wants you to be in your true self. Every single moment. Okay? Alright, so the dream. So I'm standing in the hallway. And there was a group of women that were sort of prepping. They were looked to be pampering themselves, and they were getting their hair done, and they were putting on these gowns, and they were just very excited to meet this very wealthy prince that was coming to choose a bride. And I was amongst those ladies, just, I was kind of like observing. Okay. And so they were prepping for their prince to come. Okay. One prince was going to choose one woman out of that group of women. And, they were getting their eyelashes and they just looked very pretty, these women. Okay. And so they were all like standing in some kind of aisle, in a hallway. And they were just whispering about how amazing this man, so handsome, he's so wealthy. And they said there was camels that were also, he was coming with camels. And there was these pink mattresses that were against the wall in a hallway with pink sheets in the hallway. And I saw this man, and he came walking. He was tall, he had fair skin, he had a black beard and a mustache, and he had on a cream tunic with a red garment belt with gold, and he had some kind of turban on his head. And in that moment, as I understood it, these were the ladies that this man was talking about. This was the man, that these ladies were talking about. And he is finally here. And there was a row of ladies. And this man approached the lady, the woman that was standing there first in line. And then he chose her. And he was very attractive man. He was very much looking at her like she's a snack. Okay? And he says something out loud to her. I misled how into you I truly was. So somebody has been holding back how attracted they are to you. Okay? And he's finally letting loose of his real feelings. And when he smiled at her, she looked at him with, obviously he's smiling with teeth, and he had some rotten teeth. Okay? It looked a little bit crusty green or something. And this woman still kissed him. And the passion was high. And so they were just making out, okay, on one of those mattresses. There was a lot of foreplay going on, okay? Now, and so he kind of just showed his feelings right in front of everyone that was just there and did not get chosen, okay? So the scene changed. And then there was this man that I had recognized, okay, who I dated before in the past. And he was laying down on a bed with a woman. And he says, "Why don't you come over here and sit on this bed with us? It's firm." The bed was firm. It wasn't like a squishy mattress. Now, when you are having a dream regarding sitting on a bed, it has to do with not literally doing that act, okay? Because everything in a dream is symbolic, okay? Has to do with being in one accord in mind and feeling comfortable and in unity with someone when you sit on a bed, okay? And then, so same thing with the other dream regarding the mattress. Okay, so then he was very distracted and was introducing me to the other woman there, and then stated that he's been looking for me. He looks thinner than the last time I saw him, and he's wearing a black shirt. He's also darker skin, okay, man. He was so happy he found me, and he was stating he wanted me, only me, that he's been searching for someone like me, and he hasn't found anyone to match up to who I guess, the high frequency woman, okay? At that point, he has 3 boys who are all grown. So they're not babies anymore, okay? And he said, "Come with me to this gathering. He's going to announce us to be together, that we're a couple now." That's what he wanted. So I followed him into a living room where he had all these baby mamas with their babies on their laps. It was as if they were positioned in some kind of oval shape circle, gathering in a living room with dim light, and they were just sitting there on the chairs with their babies. All the babies were his, and all of the babies looked identical. They looked like Cabbage Patch dolls with chubby faces. And he looks at me and asks if I have my eggs, because he wants to have babies with me. Well, that's a very direct question to ask somebody, right? But maybe that's what men think in their mind. They look at a woman, they're attracted to that woman, they look at her hips. I'm not kidding. Men do this. And they're like, those are childbearing hips. Okay? That's why that's why men sometimes like curvy women, because they just have this idea in their head that if they have wide hips, they are able to give birth, and they're thinking of a biological chemistry attraction. Okay, their pheromones are going that route, which is very interesting. I know this because I studied attraction and when I was working on my bachelor's in psychology degree. Okay, so when you are attracted to someone, it's because it has something to do with opposites attract, and it doesn't mean that, you know, one is into sports and one isn't. One is into gardening and one doesn't like gardening. You know, it's not saying that you have like opposite interests. It's talking about pheromones, and it's talking about the DNA within each other. And so when you're attracted to someone, you can smell them. There's like an individual smell, invisible smell, scent of that individual, and your body is telling you that that person has the opposite that you have. So there's some strengths in them and what you have, and if you combine those together when you create an offspring, it will give the baby the best chance to make it, because it's combining a mixture of DNA that will cause the child to be very healthy. So it's all about having like a healthy offspring. It's all about multiplying on this earth. And it seems like, oh, I just like how that person has a very chiseled chin. I like how he has, defined jawline. I like how he has this beautiful, golden hair and stuff like that, right? You might think that you're imagining the eye color and you're just focusing on the body type, okay, of the woman or the man, etc., right? I'm going off of it from what a woman would see because I'm a woman. I'm not, so it's, you think of it your own way. If you're a man watching this, how would you automatically have your type, and you would have that interest, right? That attraction, heightened attraction. Okay. And you think you're just doing this face value attraction, but actually internally your body is going through this series of calculations of how you could make an offspring, and it's doing this calculation without you actually making the offspring just yet. Okay, because the way you would finally know that you're sincerely attracted to that person, first of all, it's you see them from across the room, okay? Second of all, you smell them. Even though they don't have cologne on or she doesn't have perfume on, okay? Preferably, you would be able to smell each other better without having any of those scents, external scents. There's a natural scent within the person. And it's not even the soap, the luxury soap that you're using. There's a scent. Okay? And so, you will be able to smell each other. And that's how you become attracted to one another, besides liking what that you see from the outer appearance. Okay? Then, the last test to know if you're sincerely attracted to that person, it isn't necessarily sleeping with that person. It is actually kissing that person, is when you would finally know. And you would kiss that person when you are not using any kind of birth control. Why? Because the birth control tweaks some of the chemical interaction there, okay? And it could cause a falsehood in attraction when you kiss someone with being on birth control. And we know this because there's been studies where finally when women, obviously, they, confirm, each one confirms, now they're getting married, now they're having a baby, now she's pregnant. All of a sudden the woman can't stand the smell, the scent of the man. And the man can't figure out what happened. Is it my soap? Is it my body wash? Is it my cologne? And now you're changing detergent and you can't figure out what, she snapped. She's repulsed now. She can't stand it. She's going to throw up. And when, women are pregnant, they're very sensitive to smells. And she's not trying to be rude about any the smells, right? She's just literally, it's coming up. It's bubbling up in her tummy, and she's just, it's going to come out. Okay? And it's very interesting to learn that, but usually it's because she finally is not on birth control. And so she's now pregnant, and she's her true self with her own pheromones, now smelling your pheromones. And now it's like, yikes. Okay? She's shook because now she's struggling with it's coming to it's coming into full picture now how there was this falsehood of attraction. You know what I'm saying? And she doesn't like the smell. Okay? And you have to like the smell of the person. I know it sounds funny. It sounds like so silly to say that. Like, that shouldn't matter. And it really does. And you're like, how can it matter so much if it's an invisible smell? Well, it matters extremely. So, I mean, you've dated people, and have you ever kissed someone and you just felt like, okay, it's not passionate, but I'll keep kissing them because I care about them. I care about them, and so I'll just keep pushing through. Maybe passion will just start up eventually, dating them, and it will just happen naturally, and it never did. Have you noticed that? Yes, you have. Okay? You have. And that was because that was the final test. And a lot of people just roll with it and be like, it's fine. And it really is not. Okay? It's not fine. Because one will go back in time and be like, hey, how come when I kissed that other boyfriend or that other guy, on that date, it was a lot of passion. And it felt like more love. Because you had checked off every single attraction component there. Okay? And that was a better match for the offspring. It's all about the offspring. It's all about the offspring. Okay? So, you're like, but what if we don't want to have children? And, well, you need to. Why? Because you guys are kingdom families. Families includes children. And we need more of these offspring that are not hybrids of deities. You need pure offspring in this land. Okay, and why did I say that? Because Satan has an agenda as well. He's had an agenda all along. How is he going to bring some more lizards, hybrids, in this world? How is he going to bring some more snakes out in this world? How is he going to bring fallen angel Nephilim children, hybrids, and bring those down the line. Okay? I heard this prophetic word one time by this lady. Well, now I can't remember her name, but she's a darker skinned lady that wears a veil. And she gave a prophetic word regarding how the Most High told her that these fallen angels, they look like regular humans, and they go to these clubs and they convince these women that they're really into them, and then they go back home with them and sleep with them, and they get them pregnant. And really, because their job was to bring forth offspring, hybrid offspring in this world. So it's like this battle, the secret battle of filling the world up with hybrids, okay, deities, and then the Most High having the same plan. Of course, the enemy stealing Yahuwah's plan, okay? And he is saying that he wants you to connect with your ordained spouse because it's a pure lineage. Remember Noah's lineage was pure, and that's why he saved that family, right? Of course, we learn later that it could have been, why do we have giants in the land? There could have been one of his son's wife had some kind of DNA of, what's it called, Malachite, okay, and they have some descendants of giants in their bloodline, and that's how it carried over past the flood, okay. But meanwhile, he's trying to make sure that there's purity in the bloodline, and he's having these individuals meet, these King Davids meet these Abrahams in the land, find their Sarahs, okay? These Boaz connect with, be equally yoked with their Ruths in this land, because he is also starting over with offspring, okay? So anyway, let's continue on with the dream. So I'm looking around and I'm just overwhelmed by all these women here. And he's telling me that he's committed to me and that he's having babies with me and that he's finally found me. And he has a huge smile on his face, like he's so excited, and he holds my hand and he's like, this new life is ours. And I stood there and I just didn't say anything. I was just listening to what he was saying. And I woke up. Okay? And I was like, not agreeing to going back with him in a romantic relationship. Okay? But I don't think he was reading my body language, my facial expressions. I don't think he was reading it correctly. He was just sort of making this decision for us. Okay? It was, to me, I was looking at that group of women like, dang, he went and tried to create something that we had. Okay? But he could never find it. Meanwhile, he is also doing this baby making mill. And you know, and he's like spreading his seed everywhere because he's creating some kind of dynasty at the same time. Okay? I'm like, he has to be someone significant that would do that. Only kings back in the Bible days had several wives, and they would, you know, have a bunch of concubines, and they would mass produce children, right? Offspring. And it just seemed quite interesting for that, regarding that dream. Okay, so now I want to explain the part about the rotten tooth. But meanwhile, there's a battle of legacy and dynasty, and it has a lot to do with marriage, covenant marriage, and offspring. Okay, so many of you did not have children with your exes. Okay, but they still remember you, and they know that you are the key. Your womb is extra special. Okay? Your womb carries royal lineage. Your womb is not a regular womb. Okay? And so they're trying to find you. They haven't interacted with you in quite some time. Okay? Meanwhile, the other story regarding the Arabian prince who finally had made his selection, had made his feelings known, that he actually is very much into her, and he was holding back on his feelings, but now he is going to make them known. But he had rotten tooth, and she felt she needed to choose him because, I mean, how are you going to say no to a prince? Okay? So let me explain what the rotten tooth means. In Proverbs 25:19, a rotten tooth symbolizes unreliability and betrayal, comparing trusting in an unfaithful person in tough times to the sudden painful failure of a bad tooth or a lame foot causing trouble. Teeth generally represent strength, power, or judgment, with broken teeth often signifying the removal of power or divine judgment against the wicked through dreams about decay can also put it to guilt or unresolved issues. Oh, okay, so now let's continue on. Judgment, Yahuwah breaking the teeth of the wicked signifies divine punishment and stripping evildoers of their strength. Okay, teeth are linked to the tongue, representing the power and the consequences of speech. Proverbs 10:31. Sin and decay. Some modern interpretations connect tooth decay to sin, suggesting it's like an unaddressed spiritual infection needing radical surgery. And in order to fix it is repentance and confession. Rotten teeth in dreams might symbolize regret or guilt about past words or actions, urging self-care and resolution of internal conflicts. Okay, so regarding a more interpretation by evangelist Joshua Orecki, he says, it means your reputation is stained. The strong message behind spiritual meaning of rotten teeth is for losing power, depression, loss, organization, boss no longer appreciate your service, lose good friends and people, disgrace, shame, and mockery, no helper, no friends, no ability, spirit of anger, resentment, lifespan very short, sickness, saying careless words, too judgmental as a person, and jealousy. Okay, so loss of sense of expression, losing something important to you, losing your destiny, position is fading. You have lost sense of attractiveness. Start loving, trust, and caring for others. Say some things, and then that's how you have said things, or the individual has said things that puts them in trouble. Loss of marriage due to this dream. So if you have a dream of broken teeth, it means anger and sickness, lost their power, lost their inheritance. In Yahusha, no authority. Enemy changed it. So enemy has robbed of you of something, okay? Spirit of death, health problems, lose relationship and marriage, weeping, mockery, make sure to cry. Makes you to cry to that level of loss. Okay. If you have a dream of brushing your teeth, you're trying to improve. If you have a dream of white teeth, it means growth and power. Okay, so what you need to do if you have a dream of rotting teeth, you need to repent. You need to rebuild your relationship with the Most High. You need to learn to be content in your life, and you need to do 3 days of fasting and prayers. So this is what you're going to say in declarations. Oh Yahuwah, remove the yoke of shame and disgrace in my life in the name of Yahusha. And while I was putting these declarations, I heard Sapa, 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 which means to be watchful, to be watchful, to be on guard. Okay? And then in another declaration, you say, Oh Yahuwah, my Father, rebuild my self-confidence in the name of Yahusha. And I hear again, Shapa, 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 which means to be on guard, to be watchful. Okay, you are a watchman. O Yahuwah, take away the spirit of lying and those lying to me. Break every soul tie from me. In the name of Yahusha. And I hear Sapa, 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 be watchful. Be on guard. You are a watchman on the wall. Okay, so a little bit more information regarding Ashur, King Ashur, and who he is. He refers to the second son of Shem, Noah's son, and the progenitor of the Assyrian people. He is listed as king himself. He is credited with building the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir, Calah, and Rezin. He refers to the land of Assyria and the Assyrian Empire. So in Genesis 10:22 and 1 Chronicles 1:17 refers to the son of Shem. He or his descendants founded key Assyrian cities. If he is a son of Shem, of Noah's son, that means we're going to get to it down below, but they have him as some kind of deity. He has wings. He's in many drawings and carvings. Okay, he has a thick beard. He is someone of status. All right, so his descendants founded key Assyrian cities. So often represents the Assyrian Empire as a tool of divine judgment against Israel and Judah. Isaiah 10:5-6. The deity. In Hosea 14:3, it is interpreted as a reference to the chief Assyrian god. All right, so now in the Forerunner commentary of Numbers 24:20-25, we're going to talk a little bit more about who this person is. So this person will represent the one that the second dream regarding the one that wanted to have offspring with you. Okay? The one that had several other concubines and wanted to have offspring or was looking for you. The first dream represents King Amalek. Okay? Who is ready with fabulous gifts and luxury lifestyle, right? And who's drastically attracted to her, but due to his spoiled tongue, he has rotten teeth. And so there's divine judgment coming for that individual. All right, so back to Numbers 24. another question is the identity of the Kenites. They could be one of the two peoples, the Canaanite tribe representing all those who Israel would displace, Genesis 15:19, or the family of Moses' father-in-law Jethro, a Kenite who was priest of Midian. See Exodus 3:1, Judges 1:16, and 4:11. The latter seems to be the better choice, as Balaam's prediction is actually more positive than it first appears. Cain shall not be given up to destruction until Ashur carries it away captive. Through this oracle, Yahuwah blessings the Kenites for their loyalty to Israel, a trait that persisted in at least one of their branches, the Rechabites. 1 Chronicles 2:55 and Jeremiah 35. Part of the Kenite people may have been taken captive in the Assyrian invasion of Israel in 721 and 718 BC, and the rest of them certainly went into captivity to Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar. He inherited the title King of Ashur from his father Nabopolassar, who had conquered Assyria in 609. So basically, King Amalek and King Nebuchadnezzar is coming after you, or already was in your life, and you had a relationship with. Okay? Because what he's saying here is King of Assur is King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? Now, how I knew who it was with this clue in the dream that it was King Assur, who is aka King Nebuchadnezzar, is because King Nebuchadnezzar had 3 sons. King Assur had 3 sons, who are Phares, Miras, and Mokil. And in the dream, he had 3 sons. Okay? Alright, so then now let's read further on here. Assyria sits alongside Samaria and Babylonia as one of the 3 most significant Mesopotamian kingdoms. If we think of Mesopotamia as the land between the Tigris and Euphrates River in modern Iraq and Syria, Syria corresponded to the northern part of this region, while Babylonia was the southern part. The Sumerians mainly inhabited the southern part as well, but either than the Babylonians. When the Assyrians entered and recorded history in the early 2nd millennium BC, they were not yet the empire that would come to dominate this part of the Near East. Citizens of the city of Assur participated in a remarkable trade network which stretched at least between modern-day Afghanistan and western Turkey. Some of the Assyrians were shrewd business people who ran companies which transported tin and textiles from the city of Assur to a colony in central Turkey called Kanash, where they traded for precious metals. These people spoke the Assyrian dialect of the Akkadian language, and some of them could read and write the letters and business documents which today constitutes the main evidence of their lives. The imperial ambitions of the Assyrians emerged in the second half of the 2nd millennium BC. It was then that King Assur-Uballit the first took advantage of the decline of neighboring state of Mitanni to make part of its territory his own, and joined the club of the great powers of the time, the Babylonians, the Hittites, and the Egyptians. From then until the demise of the Assyrian state at the hands of Nebuchadnezzar II, a Babylonian, in 612 BC, the Assyrians maintained control over a heartland which they called the land of Assur, and it stretched from the Zagros mountains in the east to the river Euphrates in the west. But at various periods in the Assyrian history, particularly powerful Assyrian kings managed to extend their dominion over regions beyond the land of Assur, including Little Israel and Judah near the coast of the Mediterranean. The peak of the Assyrian power came strangely enough near the end of its existence, during the power of the Sagonides. King Sargon II, Sennacherib, Esarhaddon, and Ashur Banipal, who ruled between 722 and about 631, Assyrian might seem unstoppable. Okay, so these Assyrian kings went or sent their armies on regular campaigns in all directions from the land of Assur and extended Assyrian authority as far as the Upper Egypt and central Turkey in the west, the Persian Gulf in the south, and the eastern Iran in the east. But the Assyrians were not only a powerful imperial force, they were also great lovers of literature and Mesopotamia's past. They inherited the respects literature in the Akkadian and Sumerian language from the Sumerian and the Babylonians. Assyrian scribes learned and copied out great Mesopotamian classics such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, a poem about the adventures of the ancient Sumerian king, or technical works such as Enuma, Anu, Enlil, which help diviners understand the movements of heavenly bodies. And then the Assyrians composed some literature of their own related to the kings. Okay, so now that you know who was in your life and who's still coming for you, and then you also know there is another, the King of Kings is sending your David. Okay, so you attract kings. That's your high frequency. That's your feminine aura that is attracting these powerful men. So what you need to do is be strategic, okay? And have integrity, okay? Your integrity is your shield, and your truth is your sword. Shalom.